המנצחים בעונה 4, חוויית נסיעה מטורפת ברכב מרוץ פרוטוטייפ במסלול ערד.
Hello everybody and welcome to Long Beach for round number 7 of the iRacing Israel League Season 4 presented by Sim Race. My name is Dane Baird, alongside me for the first time in the iRacing Israel League, Alex Skinner, with Mark Tranter as always in production. And Alex, F3 cars at Long Beach, what could possibly go wrong?
No comment.
Yeah, Long Beach, known as a track that likes to destroy cars here on iRacing. It's only been around for about 3 months as a full-fledged out track. It was a tech track since 2013, but during the original lockdown last year, the iRacing team made it into a fully functioning circuit, and now we get to race it a lot more frequently. And iRacing is really going there. I think they're following the official calendar for at least some of the races, and Race Control message from Austin Knight in Race Control: track limits will be enforced through this race, and he told us the reasoning for this is because track limits are the walls, and if you hit the walls, if you extend track limits, you're out of the race. That's how it's going to work. So I think good strict track limits here, unlike another certain series which will not be named. But qualifying, 6.5 minutes through, we've got a few minutes left. 2 laps the drivers get in qualifying, and at the moment Ruben Chachishvili doing a very good job indeed with a 1 minute 14.014. Just pretty close up at the top. The top 4 drivers separated by 0.2 of a second.
Yeah, indeed. It's always great to see Formula 3 cars, especially so close around the streets of Long Beach. Again, as you said earlier, a very difficult circuit to get right at the best of times, let alone be so close in, especially in cars that are as fragile as the Dallara Formula 3 cars, as people have seen over the years in both real motorsport and also on iRacing. And of course, while currently looking at just seen another message come through from Race Control. FIA hit me up. Austin, come on, man.
Yep, Austin Knight has been doing Race Control for this season. First 6 rounds. He is some of the races he's had a pretty easy job, to be honest. But I doubt he's going to have an easy job here today. I think with the 25 cars that we have on the grid today, I think a fair few of them are going to meet the wall at some point during the race. It's a 25 lap or 35 minute race, whichever of those comes first. And the drivers do have to make a pit stop because the fuel that they start with is only good enough for around about 16 laps. There's no limit on the amount of fuel they can have in the car though. So they could, theoretically, pit on lap 1 for enough fuel to, and then just go to the end. So be interesting to see what the strategy of that ends up as. And it looks like most of the drivers finish their laps and just practicing some starts.
Yeah, indeed. And again, this is a beautiful little strategy play by the Admiralty, maybe limiting how much fuel they can start with, but again, opening up that strategy to allow them to take as much as they'd like in that stop. And I wouldn't be surprised to see a few maybe take it very early or maybe take it later. It depends how things go. If they're in traffic, maybe take that stop a little bit earlier than the midway mark, and then see how it goes from there. But of course, you know, Dane, you mentioned how we're expecting a fair few cars to be in the barrier. I think before the broadcast, we were having a little bit of a guess behind the scenes, but hopefully it's not as bad as we were expecting, at least. The bets that we were making, I think all of us were separated by 1 car in terms of the amount that we were betting. So be interesting to see how that goes. Going to be having a look at Yaroslav Malkov, the 233, to see where he ends up, as this will be his final lap, I believe. Maybe about 30 seconds. Spins it out of the funnel for such an easy corner to spin the rears up out of. Even in a GT car with traction control, just very easy just to get a bit too aggressive on the throttle and lose the rear end.
More practice starts. Ariel de Bush this time in the number 50. And he's doing them in pit exit. Pit exit here is a bit of a weird one. You've got to follow the blue line, but the blue line becomes the yellow line, and then the yellow line ends, but you still have to go a little bit further than that. There's a bit of a cone on the right-hand side of the circuit on the wall, which tells you when you can actually turn left and rejoin the rest of the track at turn 1. Dorian Tabashnik going very slowly and tapping the wall, but that is it. unceremoniously, he gets kicked off the circuit. And we get some lovely scenic shots, and we're about to get ready for the grid and the start of the race. Here's the grid up on the screen. Riven Chachashvili on pole position with Michael Sherling alongside, then Alon Day, Dorian Tabashnik, Shavak Vitelshvili, and Amir Meshanam with Yaroslav Malkov in 7th. Yossi Gabayan is bright green car in 8th, then Shirin Kanner, Madi Bakar, Sardekel, and Alon Zeltster in 12th place. And second half of the grid, Oran Sade, Rancioni, Reedy Sir, Michael Masserman. Then we've got Aidan Scher, Svila Shetz, Moshe Pinchevsky, David Diag rounding out the top 20. 5 cars left. John Chico starting in 21st. Then Ariel Debush, Nirkot Mizrahi, Reem Gross in 24th. And Ran Kieselstein in 25th. We do have a couple of drivers, I believe, starting potentially from the pit lane. Actually, no. They're having a quali ban because there have been a couple of issues with pit lane starts as of late, although I do believe that they fixed those in an update a few hours ago.
Supposedly.
I wouldn't want to be the one that finds out they didn't.
I don't think any of us do.
Well, with 30 seconds left until we get going, it looks like most of the drivers on the grid already. We're just waiting for... Are we waiting? No, we're not. We're not waiting for Ruben Chachashvili. Who are we waiting for? Someone right at the back, I would imagine.
Kieselstein looks like is not on the grid at the moment, Dane. So we're probably waiting on that 25th placed car. Unless he is indeed pit starting.
Could have a pit lane start. Well, it doesn't matter, because we are about to get going. The lights are going to turn on around about now. There they are. And we have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. And we go green for 25 laps of racing at Long Beach. And it's actually a good start from Michael Sherling. Alon Day trying to go around the outside of him though. First the right hand kink, and then we head in towards what is the real turn 1. Alon Day trying to go down the inside there, 3 wide for the lead in towards turn number 1. And Alon Day, is locked up. The front 3 all taken out. And there's a big pile up into turn 1. We were expecting this, but not the top 3. Dorian Tabashnik takes the lead of the race with Shalva Katelshvili just behind. Amin Meshlam takes 3rd. Everybody gaining at least 3 spots because the leaders, the top 3, dropped all the way down to the end of the field, and a lot of them into the pits. Everyone below 17th place has had to go into the pits to make a repair, so terrible start from the drivers up in front.
Yeah, it was just a very, very simple lock of the rear brakes for Day, and it just sent that car straight on. But of course, everyone behind him couldn't really avoid it, and then there was the panic as they all tried to avoid them into turn 1. But thankfully, Tabashnik managed to get through that and is now in the lead by 6 tenths of a second over Kieselstein. Apologies if I do get any of these names wrong, name, because I most likely will tonight. Trying to pronounce some of these, so I do apologise. I will be working on that as we go through very rigorously. But of course, only half a second between the top 2, and then only 1.3, of course, between the top 3 to the podium. Very, very close. Turn 1 is under clean up at the moment from race control. So as they make their way to the end of the first lap, we can breathe a sigh of relief, I feel, as we know. Race should now start to calm down, although there are more cars in the pit lane, Dave. Only the top, I believe it's going to be the top 13 will be on track.
Yeah, only 13 drivers on the pits. A couple of drivers probably picking up a little bit of damage into turn 1, but not enough that forced them to make a tow. Let's see what happened here. We are on heading down into turn 1. Alon Day, he's on the left-hand side of the circuit, and then just a little bit of room there for him. He sends it on the brakes a little bit too hard, locks the rears, and as you say, top 3 unable to avoid, and then a couple more drivers actually spinning themselves around. I don't think anyone made contact to cause those spins. It was just...
It was Kana, the 48 tag from behind, which spun him around, which I think then set off the rest of that chaos. And yeah, it was just a very, very messy turn 1.
Yeah, Alon Day. His car was absolutely ruined as he had to tow to the pits. I think he only had 1 wheel left on the car. And it looks like only the top 14 still out on track. 14th place of Alan Zelt's actually now a couple of drivers making their way out of the pit. Most of the drivers making their way out of the pits now. As their tow time is up, they have 2 fast repairs, so no time needed to spend in the pits, but this could be strategy now coming into play, because those drivers that have come out the pits, are they going to take fuel? I would imagine so.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised indeed as we saw Chico get past so obviously under pressure now from the bush. This is the fight for 6th place, 6th, 7th, and 8th. You see in the background, I believe that is Cop lapping one of the back markers there. As just keeping an eye on this, it is very difficult to overtake here, Dana. Both of us can attest to having raced around here enough times. It is, you know, trying to find where you can get past without, you know, locking a brake or, you know, maybe tagging the wall slightly. But we'll go defensive and try and force the bush on the outside, but it will come back to him if he gets alongside. He's not going to be able to do it here. He will have to try and look down the inside of turn 1, and it is all very dependent on who gets a better exit here. Fastest lap for 2nd place at the moment, the 14.261, faster than the lead up by 300ths of a second. Meanwhile, heading through the fast right hander down into the true turn 1 braking zone. What will we see here? Will we see the bush look to the inside? No, he's going to back off and sit single file. Oh, and that's a big tag with the barrier. Very lucky to not get any major damage from that. I thought that was going to be some suspension ripped off there, Dane, but thankfully he gets away with it.
I don't know how he's got away with that. Surely that's ripping the wheel off. That was a pretty big tag to the outside tyre barrier. Maybe the fact that it was a tyre barrier helped him out slightly. Didn't look like he had too much damage to the front wing either. I can imagine we're going to see Pinchevsky loop it.
No, we're not. Yes, front left suspension over or something. That car was bouncing very awkwardly there. But,
bit of a weird one.
Yeah, as I say, but back to the fight for 7th, and Debush. Run it, still trying to find every which way and, you know, any possible way to get past. Someone that's between car 18 and 12 will be looked at most of the race.
So that is Sardekel. And I don't know who the 18 is actually, but Sardekel is car number 12.
The 18 would be...
Is that a typo? I think it's probably a typo. We'll never know who the incident was between unless Austin Knight can get us that race control message back. You can actually hear as the cars come around some of the corners that the track is so bumpy that the floor of the car is slamming up against the track there. As,
yeah, it's actually just
come around.
Out.
Yeah.
This
took the lead.
That's see, very close here. I'm just trying to look. You just see how much curb some of these guys take compared to the others. You see who's a bit more confident on that curbing compared to their competitors through the final corner. God, you see how close it is at the closing speed, and how late we break into that final corner. But of course, it will still vary. Only the top 11 in the lead lap there as well.
Yep, definitely. As Shalva just patiently waiting behind, I think he realizes that there's still 20 laps left in the race. Car number 200 has been given a drive through.
That's Sherling.
It is. So Michael Sherling being given the blame for something. I think
yeah, I'm too sure.
Sherling was involved. Started 2nd place on the grid. He was involved in that lap 1 turn 1 incident, but I wouldn't.
For Day sliding down his inside uncontrollably and him having like no time to report that, if that's what I'm thinking.
Maybe it's something else has happened. It is something else that happened. So this is why he's been given a drive-through penalty. He goes down the inside.
I wouldn't think that's his fault. I mean, he was tight to the curb as he could be. I'm still entitled to racing room. I still think he got, you know, cut up a bit there, Tone. But of course, Austin Knight, very experienced race director in the iRacing Israel League, so very rarely makes mistakes. We'll see how that plays out. Of course, very rare for him to make an incorrect call. but we will stay with this fight for the lead. 3/10 the gap as they come into turn 1. Cars
Another
slide.
faster slap.
Yeah. Whoa! How you want to get there?
Sharper going slightly deep. I'm sure Dorian, looking in his mirrors, would have been thinking, "Oh dear, this is how it ends." But no, he just about managed to get it stopped. Our reigning champion, as Alon Day, season 2 champion, is making his way up through the field, getting past Moshi Pinchevsky. And yeah, he is a lap down. He's not too far back though, so he might be challenging for some of the places ahead of him, some of the drivers who haven't made a pit stop, because you have to assume he's taken fuel at the pit stop. His pit time was, well, 2 minutes and 16, but that includes the tow time, so 2 minutes 16 minus tow time. Couple drivers making their way into the pits that didn't tow. I believe Alon Zeltster. He had a 6-second stop. I wonder if that was just him taking a long time to get going after a fast repair, or if he took a very little amount of fuel. We have to wait and see to see who has actually fueled up the car or not, because looking at the pit times, it's not incredibly obvious.
You know, see if there's anything that I can sort of fathom from this, but there's not really anything I can at the moment, Dave. So I'll get back to it as soon as I can. But yeah, at the moment, not too sure who has actually put his full fuel on, if from those fast repairs.
Yeah, they would need to add probably 10-11 litres of fuel to be safe, I would imagine. So I wouldn't imagine that would take too long to fuel up the car for that. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. We're on lap 8 of 25, about to go on to lap number 9. So around about 5-6 laps left, maybe 7 laps if they're thinking of pushing it a bit, until we start to see a green flag or a regular pit stop without damage.
Well, we have just seen that, because Goodbye has come in. That is the number 17 that's just come into the pit lane. He's come in of his own accord on lap 9 to come into fuel. He did have Chico very much up his rear end, so we'll see what the 17 does. Stops in his box and see how long the stop that is. It shouldn't be too long if he's taking on, and nope, there he goes. So that will be Goodbye's stop to the end. Now the question is, where will he come out in regards to the guys that were in for those damage repairs early on, Dave?
I would imagine quite far in front. He has lost around about 42 seconds in the pit lane he's taken, and the drivers that had to take the tow had a 2.5 minute stint in the pit. So I'd imagine they've lost around about 30 seconds, the drivers who had to make the tow and take the fast repair. They've lost around about 30 seconds from the tow. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Alon Day is still behind.
Goodbye has planted in the ahead of Leschetz and Seltzer, so Day is very, very far behind in terms of the guys that will be actually coming in. And what that means as well is those guys that were ahead of Goodbye are going to have a very, very nice and comfortable gap when they come out of some pits.
And this is a livery that our producer Mark Tranter might enjoy the look of. Little sort of Mercedes 2020 F1 styled livery. And Amazotsu, is he going to move out of the way of the 42? Yes, he is. The 42 being Riven Chachashvili, who is behind, but definitely one of the quickest drivers out on the circuit. There has been a bit of a lock-up for Leschetz just in front of Riven Chachashvili, and you would expect Chachashvili to try and make a move up the inside, possibly. They are pretty close together at this point.
Yeah, but great awareness there for Zeltzer. No need to really fight that either. Knows that Chachashvili is trying to work his way back through, as that is Leschetz running wide and through. Will go Zeltzer. So running a bit deep into turn 1, allowing obviously the lap to go through, but also losing a place as well, and he might Is that behind? I'm trying to figure out who that is actually behind us. It's Wildcard. So that's Saga Kel who's obviously ran to him as well. That was very, very close as well. So Decker will try and go through as well. He's going to let him go as well. So sort of a great awareness from these guys, knowing that those guys are quicker and that they probably still won't get to the back of them by the end of this race.
Battle for the lead still raging on. Half a second separating them. Dorian Tabashnik and Shalva Kvitelshvili. I would imagine Shalva's just sitting back, not looking to make a move, but by the end of the race, if they're still pretty close after the pit stops, start to be seeing a few more moves. We normally see this in these races. Probably the best round of the iRacing Israeli that I've seen this season so far was the one at Detroit. We had 2 sprint races rather than one longer race, and drivers trying to make their way up through the field as quickly as possible. It wasn't the best exit there from Shalva actually. Lost a little bit of time. We do have, I believe, 1 double header for the second half of the season. Not too sure which circuit it is at though. We are at Alton Park for the next race, so that should be interesting. As looking further back in the field, Moshe Penchevsky is under threat from David Dayag. He's trying to hold it all the way around the outside in the number 5, and he's done that very successfully, and he's gained the second already, so Penchevsky just letting him go there.
Yeah, definitely. No, just thinking about race preservation, I feel. And that meanwhile, Malkov has just left the pit lane, and he's going to come out just behind Michael Wasserman. We'll see if he actually comes out near Gabay as well, because those two were relatively close on the circuit when they came in. Meanwhile, he will leave the pit lane now. Gabay's just come across the start finish line. You see him in the back of the shot. There he is. They're going to turn 1. It's going to be about, say, a 5-second gap there. So we'll see. Warmer tyres for Gabay, obviously, in the pit stop. The tyres will cool down ever so slightly. Meanwhile, fight for 18. That's Chesterfield looking at Zadeh. Gets the move done. It's turn 1. Makes up another place.
Oh, I think someone's just hit the wall actually, or on Saturday. I think he has just hit the wall. Coming out of the fountain section. Someone hit the wall at least. And he looks like he might have a bit of damage.
I'm just looking at who's in the pit lane. I believe it might be Canna. Depends on if it was a major accident or if it was a little minor nudge or not. Try and look at the damage. Front wing looks pretty solid on Zadeh, so I wouldn't say it's any damage on the 147. See if we can pick out who has got any major damage at all.
Oh, Chachishvili's caught up to Penchevsky now. You would expect him to make light work of this, but we'll have to see. Down towards turn number 1, they will go. Gap 0.2 of a second and closing. Slipstream helping Ruven out a lot. He's going to pull alongside before they even reach the braking zone. And down the inside into turn 1, Chachishvili. Yep, and he's done that pretty easily there. And the number 42 moves up into 17th place. Sebastian now with the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, 13.4, so first driver under the 13.5s all race, great to see. Meanwhile, really Sir has gotten the cop under the cop right behind him as well. So that will come down towards turn 1, it'll be relatively close as well. These guys obviously still yet to stop. No one in the top 8 has actually stopped this race. The only other person yet to stop is Shets, who is down in 12th place at the moment. So of course, everyone else yet to make a stop. And they will be coming in soon, of course, because as you said, Dane, the fuel is only good enough to last around 16 laps.
Yep, we will start seeing the drivers making their way into the pit lane fairly shortly. I would imagine if I'm Shalva Kvitelshvili, I am waiting until lap 15, and whatever Dorian doesn't do in front of me, I'm going to do it. So if Dorian pits on lap 15, I would stay out an extra lap and use the clear air to my advantage. But if he doesn't head into the pits, I would pit. See if I can get myself into some clear air, get a good out lap, try the undercut. And he's just got the fastest lap.
The Shet comes in as well. But yeah, both staying out. It's going to be interesting because it's going to be very touch and go. They've both got to come in within the next 2 or 3 laps, depending on how well they've saved the fuel. Because of course, if you're able to save fuel enough around here, especially in the slipstream game, it is still a possibility because it's quite a long straight down towards turn 1. Well, I say straight, it's more of a curve really. But of course, nonetheless, it's still very, very much flat out. So anything you can save is going to be really helpful. It's going to come out behind the day, so it's going to come out maybe 14th or 15th, depends how far back the Shah is. So still having a look at this fight for 6th place, which is currently separated by just under a second to make the way out the fountain section and up towards the middle part of the lap. And of course, a very difficult corner where they've just come out on. It's very easy to get a tiny bit loose and just clip that wall and, well, basically race over at that point. Meanwhile, fight for the lead.
Oh, someone's off. Was it Shalva? I think it was.
Who is it?
Both of them are in. I think Shalva's just hit the wall. In the hairpin. The inside barrier.
You might be right, because he dropped off of, at least half of 10.
Yeah. Just caught the rear. Is that... Oh, I think he's lucky there. The wheel looks like it's still on. Still lucky. Straight.
Very, very light little nudge at the, at most there. But, very Gutierrez Monaco sort of esque accident there, just sort of clipped the inside wall, and the car's still perfectly fine. It's just, the way that the rotation has gone. Still going to come out behind, obviously, Zabushnik, but, still possible. Meanwhile, Chashvili down the inside of Dayag. Trying to have a look. Dayag will let him go. So, up another place. Almost into the top 15 now is your, originally pole sitter. Oh!
Good save.
Saves it in the background. Very, very good reaction.
Straight into the pits.
Yeah, no surprise there. Probably a bit of a brown pants moment. Gonna come in, get some new overalls. Meanwhile, a bit further up, Malkov has got the Bush and Goodbye behind. So obviously, these guys all stopped. Only the top 2 now in this race yet to stop. So this is the fight, I believe, for what will be 3rd place overall in this race. As I say that, the top 2 hit in now, so it'll be interesting to see actually where those 2 come out. Meanwhile, we'll be able to see what the Bush does, because of course he's going to have to worry about Goodbye behind, who has been relatively quick this race actually. But of course, the Bush wants to get past that 2-3-3 car. He's actually up 15 places. That is extremely impressive for the Bush. He goes to the inside, tries to make it work the rid. Well, he's going to back straight out of it. Smart driving there from 17. Doesn't want to get too involved, knowing that the final corner is probably going to be his best shot at getting a decent run. And behind them is that, let's note that I believe it's actually a back market car there that is behind these guys. I don't believe that's no, it's not, sir. So, back marker behind these guys as well, and I don't actually think they're that far off of Chico. They're only about, 8 seconds off now, so those guys not doing actually too badly in terms of the gap to the top 5.
Yep, and of course, Nikop Mizrahi has to still pit. So he is currently, 27 seconds ahead. Pit lane is normally about 40 seconds that they take to go down there. So that would be pretty close, because of course that's the pit lane time, not the pit lane delta.
I mean, Chico came out in 5th overall after stopping completely, so actually
he has just pitted.
Yeah, he had just pitted, so we'll see where Cop actually comes out. Day's in the pit lane again, Day, so I don't know what has happened to Alon Day, but it's not been a good race here at Long Beach for him. We're going to get a replay up, see what happens.
He has towed because pit lane and pit time is the same. Oh dear!
And there's the front. Ripped straight off the car, and then thankfully fixes, but just locked up, slid it out, and then just hit the barrier straight away, couldn't get the car turned. But here we go.
I think he's got a bit loose and overcorrected slightly.
You see the rear end come. Oh no, he had to avoid.
Yeah, he locked up, trying to avoid running into the back of the car in front.
Shame for Dave, doing so well on that recovery drive as well. Meanwhile, back to the fight for 5th. The Bush, Malcolm, goodbye, dropping off the back slightly. Little error there. He's going to drop behind the Bush. Here comes Gabai as well. And Kopp's actually only about 5 seconds behind these guys, so he will be pushing as hard as he dares to catch up with not many laps left in this race. And if these guys tangle, which we have seen today, Dane, from the majority of the guys that have been close to nearly getting tangled in each other's incidents, it is a very, very big possibility. Gabai looks to the left, the 17, trying to get past the right red 233, who locks up into the... And that looks to be big suspension. Now he's got the front left suspension torn clean off the car. Oh,
he's going to struggle turning. Yeah. Oh, is he going to get round?
He's going to
just about.
Oh, well, everyone else knows that he's actually trying to come in. Yes, he's thankfully in some air. We'll get that car into the pit lane, but will drop him out of the top 10 day.
Now, Dorian Tvashnik, he has just under a second lead to Shalva Kotelshvili, reigning champion from Season 3. Shalva's going to have to start pushing now. We've seen him set consistent fastest laps of the race. And now, of course, with the extra fuel on board, he'll be slightly slower. But he's going to try and close down that 1 second gap, although Dorian doing a pretty good job through the middle sector of the lap and extending his advantage, but then that's actually just dropped back again towards Shalva. So Shalva trying to get back. He'll have 6 laps left as they come to cross the line to start lap number 20 of 25. And what is happening here? Rancioni in the number 20 trying to get past Moshchevsky in the 27 Dallara F3 car. Rancioni, getting a little bit loose over the crest there. Very difficult corner, probably the most common place to spin it around at this circuit. Looks to the inside, but I think it was just trying to make himself known in Moshe Pachevsky's mirrors. Now down the back straight, is he going to try and get a good exit and see if he can get a move in towards the car park section? He is pretty close, only 0.2 of a second. He might look to the inside here. He does look, but doesn't actually go for it. But I think into turn 1 is going to be his best bet. He's closed the gap up massively now. He's within a car length in towards the hairpin. Locks up a little bit as they transition onto the concrete once again. Now 0.3 of a second surely will have him down the main straight here.
Yeah, definitely. He tried to square off the final corner and it's definitely worked. He's got a nice run towards turn 1. Sione looking at Pincheski. He's going to dart to the left-hand side. It should be easy job done. Late on the brakes. And gets the apex nicely. Through he goes into 14th place. And I believe, Dane, we might actually, we will actually go over this. I thought we were going to actually be very close to the time count for a minute, but I think I miscalculated just slightly. Meanwhile, Sherling and Dekel, these two guys going to be fighting now. This is for 17th place on the road with just under 5 laps to go when they cross the line, these guys. So it'll be interesting. So we'll see how these guys do. 2 laps down to the leaders. Dekel actually going to get a better run out of there. Squared that corner off just enough to deny Sherling a decent run as they head towards turn 1. You can just breathe a bit of a sigh of relief knowing that you should be safe. Although I say that,
he's caught up. He's going to send it down the inside. Ooh, got a little bit loose. Are they still side by side? I don't think they are. No. And Michael Sherling straight into the wall.
How he got away without damage from that as well, Dane.
It's got a bit of a bent front wing, but suspension looks to be fine. We'll see down the straight. Yeah, that steering wheel is straight. But the problem is, they do get damage over time, the suspensions on these cars. If you bash them up, they get weaker. And over the bumps, sometimes it just snaps randomly, seemingly. Oh no! That was a definite Code Brown moment for Sardek and Michael Sherling.
Corner like that.
Yes, you come around the corner and there's just a car going 20 miles an hour max with a wheel missing right in the middle of the track.
That was completely nearly paralysed like that. Find out McToven next and pull it into the pit lane. Meanwhile, fight for the lead. Half a second down between Tabashnik and between Vitashvili and And it was actually Sir, I believe it was Sir that has that problem. They said 9th place. Meanwhile, Gross is in the pit lane as well. So shame for those guys to have such issues. Meanwhile, down the front straight, traffic leaders is separated by 6/10 of a second with 3 laps to go.
He's already got the damage at this point.
Yeah, he's trying to piece it back to the plane for the drive.
And then, oh dear, no, that's not how you do it. Oh, yeah, the outside wheel not on the car is definitely not what you want. That's why he was so slow. And then here comes Michael Schilling to the one side. He tries to get out of the way and gets right into the path of Sardeckle.
Focused on where the 200 was compared to where anyone else was. He suddenly sees a car there, and he darts it the way he thinks he's going to be safe, and suddenly there's another car in his mirror is right behind. And I think about as scary for those two as it was for him, actually. So very, very lucky to actually get out of that, like all 3 of them, without any actual damage from, you know, that incident in itself. But Dane, 2 laps to go across the line this time by, and I think Tabashnik might just have this one summed up.
You know how deadly this track is. Very easy to make a mistake. David Diag trying to get past Washington Banchevsky. I'm sure we've already seen this before, earlier on in the race. But he's about half a second back. Moshi's line through the first corner isn't the greatest. And you can see David catching up a fair bit through there, almost a bit too much actually. Are they going to go side by side into the fountain? No. Thankfully, there is no. They've turned themselves around. They're stuck together. That's not good. There's Amir Meshalam just about carving his way through. He was running in 3rd place. This was just behind the leaders. That could have ended a lot worse. And I think that's really Sir that's just got past there as well. Still in 9th place.
Very lucky to get away with no suspension damage from that. Meanwhile, Chevsky not the case for him. But that will actually put that will actually now put Chevsky up into the top 10 days. So the driver that was, well, pretty much stone dead last at the end of lap 1, back into the top 10 now.
Car number 5 has been given a black flag. That is, I believe, David Dyer. I guess it is. So, yeah, pretty clearly at fault there. White flag then. Dorian Tabashnik takes the white flag and he's got a 10-second gap. What's happened to Shalva?
Was Shalva involved? No, this
happened behind. You could hear it. What's happened? Is he... Whilst we were watching that... Oh, he's looped around.
Thankfully, he keeps it out of the barrier, but... Oh, never mind. I take you back. The barrier for the first part of the incident. But, that is a shame to watch. Like, thankfully, he's going to hold that 2nd place, though, unless Meshalam manages to close in that 1.5 second gap, though. So, what's Shalva going to do? The number 1 comes through. As Tabashnik will be coming through that final sector, I think he might just hold on. But Dame, what a drive for Dorian Tabashnik.
Yep, absolutely. Started 4th place on the grid. He comes around the final corner now, taking advantage of the top 3 crashing right in front of him. Manages to avoid it, and he weaves left and right as he crosses the line. As the season starts once again, round number 7 it goes to Dorian Tabashnik. And Shalva Katelshali will cross the line. He'll take 2nd. Probably could have fought for the win, but just couldn't close that gap up. Amir Meshalam somehow avoiding that wreck in the fountain. He finishes in 3rd. And we've got all sorts happening here at the fountain. Who is that on the left-hand side? The 49 is Reem Gross, who is quite a few laps down.
Oh, that's the block. That was Jeez, that was Diag that had a major accident there. Oh my. Big crash across the line by Diag there, sorry.
What?
Did that actually collect anyone in that little group? Like those two that were fighting, that was the question, Dave, because as obviously the rest of the field will come across the line. Sione will end up in 13th, but
I think
that,
luckily that was just after the line.
yeah,
Because the line comes up just before the kink, or the right-hander. I think it was just here. Yeah, you can see the tire marks on the track. Wow, I would love to see a replay of that. Just waiting for one driver to finish the race, and that is Moshpinchevsky in 20th place, 2 laps down, unfortunately. And we have been told by race control that all of 7 drivers finished the race without incident. So we weren't too far off.
our lovely production team of Mark Cranton was very much the closest. I believe you were second closest, Dane, and I was well.
Yeah, you're about as far off as could be possible with that one. Even Austin was closer than you. Panjevsky crosses the line.
Ill now knowing that.
And we can get the race results up on the screen. And it shows only 8 drivers finishing on the lead lap as well. Well, Dorian Tabashnik, brilliant drive from him, keeping it clean. And he takes the win as we start the second half of the season. Shavak Telshvili loops it on the penultimate lap. Maybe could have challenged for the win. Finishes in second, just ahead of Amin Meshlam in third. John Chico finished in 4th, and about 10 seconds back from him was Ariel de Bush, rounding out the top 5. Yossi Gabai and Nikot Mizrahi, Alon Zeltzer were the only other drivers to finish on the lead lap. Then 1 lap down, Really Sir, Riven Chachashvili, Madi Bekar, Svi Leshetz, and Ran Sioni in 13th. 2 laps down, we've got Michael Wasserman, David Diag, Reem Gross, Michael Sherling, Sar Deckel, and Oren Sade. Moshe Pinchevsky finishing 3 laps down, and the drivers who didn't finish the race, unfortunately, we lost 5 of them. Yaroslav Malkov, Alon Day. Currently, he was leading the points championship before this round. That might have changed. This is not a high-scoring round for Alon Day. Shiran Kana, Aiden Sher, and Ran Kieselstein, who didn't actually start the race. He finishes in 25th. And we do have a couple drivers waiting for an interview. So let's see who have we got here. We have got the race winner, Dorian Tabashnik. Let's get him in for a quick word there. Dorian, can you hear us?
Oh, hey. Yeah, I'm speaking to my guys there. I didn't notice you guys transfer me. How you doing?
Yeah, we're doing pretty good. You must be too. Winning the race, of course. And but Shalva kept you quite honest up until the end there.
Sure, he sure did, man. He was less than a second the whole race. I just didn't have any room for mistakes, even though I've made a few. But fortunately, whenever I did a mistake, he managed to make one as well, so that kept him in check. That was insane. I owe Alon Day probably like $50 in PayPal. I need to send him some money ASAP. He just gave me the race right off the bat. I even shouted on comms. Thank goodness you guys can hear it.
Oh dear. Well, yeah, Alon Day did do you a bit of a favor there. Must have been a bit of a Code Brown moment though for you, heading into turn 1 and seeing all of that in front of you.
Yeah, thankfully I was doing officials all week, so I'm kind of used to it by now. I was fully prepared for a dog bomb or someone else dying in front of me, so I try to keep it easy and keep the inside line. That's the trick on turn 1 here when you got a lot of cars coming in. You got to keep the inside line, put it in second gear, and hold it tight because everybody's gonna go wide into the wall. And thankfully that's what happened, and I managed to get 3 positions right off the bat and keep it.
Absolutely. And in terms of pit strategy, you and Shalva pitted at the same time. I'm assuming Shalva pitted because you pitted, but a couple of drivers leaving it a couple extra laps. What was your thinking there? Did you run out of fuel? Did you not have enough fuel to go any more laps, or did you just think now's the best time to do it?
It was an opportune moment. First of all, I started to see a lot of back markers in front of me, so that would have inevitably slowed me down. And also the fact that Shalva had a bad hairpin on the lap where I pitted in. So I had a little bit of a gap from him, and I was like, now's the time, because he's going to close that gap right down if we go for another lap. So I went in, and yeah, thankfully that kept me enough ahead of him, so Yeah, I ended up with like 0.3 liters in the tank, so it was right on the money.
Yeah, I think Shalv actually just tagged the inside rear wheel and he just touched the barrier on the inside and that sort of half spun him around. He recovered pretty well, but yeah, he did lose quite a bit of time to you from that. So yeah, that's interesting to know. 2 weeks time, round number 8, we go to Alton Park. Pretty small circuit, not too much room for error. What are you thinking ahead of that round?
I mean, if you guys thought this was bad, just wait. That's no ordinary race right there. I've looked at the layout. Did you see the layout it's gonna be on? There's no chicanes. It's only gonna be flat out. It's gonna be oval race.
Ooh. Oh dear.
Yeah, that's gonna be a problem.
The need it up that race.
Yeah,
No guarantees there, boys.
definitely. Yeah, that's going to be interesting. I didn't actually see that it was the layout without the chicane. So wow, flat out into. I don't know what the corner's called. I just know it's a fast one with no runoff at all. That's what.
I'm British. I don't know the corner names at Alton Park, so don't worry, you're fine.
Well, Dorian, thank you so much for coming to have a chat with us. Congratulations on the win. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time. But before we let you go, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Massive shout out to Shalva. He did like 2 days worth of practice, and he came in. He's doing his master's degree right now, so he doesn't have any time to practice like us no lifes. So he barely got in practice, and he was on point the whole race. That's amazing. And shout out to Alone for giving me the race. And I'm sorry for killing him when I had to brake early there on that corner. That was a mess. Yeah, good stuff. Good league. I'm having fun. Thank you guys as well.
Absolutely. Thank you for putting on a good show for us, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
It was good to hear from Dorian there, and Alex. I think we have Shalva, who's just joined the interview waiting area. So why don't we have a chat with Shalva?
Why don't we indeed? And hopefully we don't drag him into conversation like we did with Dorian there. I'll let you. I'll bring him in now. We'll give him a moment just to sort himself out, and hopefully we'll be able to drag him in momentarily. Shalva, my good friend.
Hello.
Firstly, congratulations on the podium. It was a really, really well-driven race by yourself. Obviously, only a couple of little errors there that cost you time, but of course, you've got to be pretty happy with how the race went.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy to just come back and go straight at the podium. Pretty fun. I had a really fun race with Dorian.
Of course, you've not done too much practice going into this, so great to see you running up there at the sharp end as well. And of course, with I will ask you that one now, of course, because obviously the pit stop was aptly well timed with a little spin coming out of the final corner, just sort of doing your best Esteban Gutierrez impression and clipping the ever so slightly. Was that planned to come in that lap anyway, or was it?
No. No, not at all. I planned to do the opposite of Dorian. Like if he was gonna pit, then I was gonna stay out, and if he was gonna stay out, I was gonna pit. But I hit the wall, as you said, on the inside there. So I thought, Jesus, I'm gonna have damage now, so I better just go in and use that fast repair like right now, before I lose any more time. So yeah, that was unplanned. I had to think on my feet there.
Perfectly understandable. And obviously, because you've had the most experience of following someone around the circuit for the entirety of a race, how difficult actually is it, especially in these Formula 3 cars, to actually find somewhere to overtake without being impeded, by traffic or by the guy in front of you actually being there, or with just a barrier sort of being just slightly too close to where you want to go, sort of down the inside or around the outside of someone? How difficult actually is it to overtake around here for someone like yourself?
Yeah, it's absolutely hellish. Like I'm rusty as well, and it's hard to just follow somebody through here. Like when you're in the slipstream, you lose so much front end grip on the corner, so it's really difficult to stay behind somebody, and it's even difficult to capitalize on the mistakes of the driver in front of you. Like he makes a mistake and you have to brake. Like there's nowhere to go around him, and I was having a really hard time, and I was just hoping Dorian's gonna, I don't know, like crash into the wall or something so I can overtake him. I guess the best place to overtake here is the like the start-finish straight, and as you've seen, that last corner is absolutely my worst one. So I was having a lot of trouble just trying to find a good overtaking place.
Definitely, and of course, you say you've struggled to find an overtaking place here. I doubt you're going to be too much happier knowing that we're going to Alton Park in about 2 weeks. Even less known for his overtaking opportunities.
Yeah, I'm not excited at all, but I guess we're gonna have fun. I guess you guys are gonna have fun most of all. But yeah.
It's going to be good fun. As you say that, you said you're not actually looking forward to Alton. Why are you not looking forward to Alton, good sir?
Because there's absolutely nowhere to overtake. This track is so narrow. It's a narrower version of like Brands Hatch, and no runout places anywhere. Like grass all over. You make a mistake, you're dead. You're most definitely dead. So I guess it's gonna be interesting.
Applies for Brands Hatch in honesty. So you are completely correct there.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure having you with us, of course. But before we do let you go, is there anyone you'd like to thank or anything else you'd like to add at all?
Shout out to Dorian. Like, congrats, man. You drove such a good race. It was really fun, and I'm hoping to race you on the next one.
Thank you very much, Charlotte. Your second place finisher today at the Long Beach Street Circuit. It's been an absolute pleasure having you, Charlotte. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. See you next time.
Right, Dane. We have a few people in there. I'll let you decide if you want to bring anyone else in or not.
Why don't we get the final podium sitter? I don't know why that's actually a saying, podium sitter, even though they stand on the podium. That's an odd one. Anyway, let's get him in here. MMS Lamp, the series organizer as well, of course. So he joins us now. Amir, can you hear us?
Hi guys, yes, I can hear you. How's it going?
Yeah, pretty good, and pretty good for yourself as well, I would imagine. Third place today.
Yes, very surprised and very happy, I must say.
It was sort of gifted to you, that fairly high up position. You gained 3 places. Those 3 places belonging to Alon Day, Riven Chachashvili, and Michael Sherling. They had a bit of an incident into turn 1. It must have been a pretty worrying sight as you headed down into there.
Yes, well, actually, that was I don't want to say hoping, but after races and official races, I knew something like that can happen. So I knew I was racing the walls and not the other cars, and that's exactly what happened. As long as you won't hit the wall, we will just make good results. So I'm very happy that it was very hard week on the official races for me. Like I think I finished only 1 race out of 7.
Wow.
So that was a lot of practices, and it's good that here it worked well. And I think that's my 4th podium in a row, which I'm very surprised and very happy. It's great. Looks great.
Yeah, 4 podiums in a row. That's not too bad. Not too bad at all. And yeah, like you said, just trying to avoid the walls. And did you have to encounter much traffic today? Because, of course, a lot of the drivers ending up in that turn 1 pile-up on lap 1. Only 7 drivers made it through the race without incidents.
Wow, I didn't know that. Only 7 made it? Wow. Well, again, that's what happened in many of the official races, so I expected that, but still 7, that's a little surprising. But no, I don't think I encountered too much traffic. My main problem was that I miscalculated fuel, so I was missing fuel. I had to slow down. I don't know if you guys noticed, but when I exit the pit stop, John was like 9 seconds behind me, and it was reduced to about 4. That was because I had to slow down and save fuel because I miscalculated, and I was missing about half a liter. Actually, it's a shame because I could have passed Shalva easily because of his spin on his last or one before last lap. But as I had to slow down, I was not able to pass him. But still, 3rd place. I'm very happy.
Yeah, definitely. That's a brilliant position. And 2 weeks' time, of course, you know this. Alton Park, no chicanes. Interesting track layout to go to in the F3 cars. So what are you thinking ahead of the next round?
I'll be honest. I'm not familiar. Well, I drove a little bit on Alton, but I'm not familiar with this layout, so I don't really know what to expect to. But the fact that it's a double header, that's actually quite good. I really like the concept, and I hope to make a good result. In the previous double header in Detroit, I was able to do podium in both races, so I hope that will be next week's also. And I think I can aim not just to top 6, but even look on the top 3 or 4. Who knows? We'll see.
Absolutely. Still 5 rounds left of the season, though. So lots of time still for you to try and climb your way up the standings there. But Amir, thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations on the 3rd place. We will see you in 2 weeks' time at Alton Park. But before we let you go, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Oh, just thank you guys for the broadcast. That's one of the best things we can do after the race is to look on your broadcast and see how it goes. Just thank you for all the drivers that participating, and have a great Passover or Pascha. Bye, guys.
Bye, Amir. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Well, we have got time for one quick word with another driver. So, Alex, who do you want to take?
Deciding who I actually want to take here, Dane, because I'm not actually too sure myself. I think I actually want to talk with Yossi Gavai, because he was basically the earliest of the green flag stoppers to actually stop. I want to sort of chat to him about the strategy idea and how his race sort of went from his perspective. So I think taking Yossi might be an idea here. So I'm just going to drag him into there so he's aware. And then I will drag him in. Good evening, Yossi. Can you hear me, good sir?
Hi, Alex. How are you? Yeah, I can hear you well.
Doing well, and well, you did rather well yourself today out there. Obviously, a P6 at the end of that race, and actually the earliest of the green flag stoppers. So first off, how was the race from your perspective?
Well, the start of the race was very scary for me actually, because the accident in front of me, I had to take the inside, but I got a small hit from Yaroslav, which actually pushed me to the outside, and I almost got hit from Michael Sherling, but eventually I was able to get out of it, and from this point, my race was very good actually.
Good, and obviously you came in earliest of all of the non-damage repair stoppers. Was that a planned sort of stop just to get you out of traffic, or was that a very sort of impulse sort of fueled idea just to pit so early on in that race?
Yeah, so I basically wanted to push as far as I could with the fuel, but I got a small hit on my front wheel from the wall. I didn't felt any damage, but I thought maybe just in case I go to pit, because anyway I have to put some fuel. So that was the decision at that point.
Interesting. So it seems that anyone that sort of came in with other people or very out of sequence was due to some form of damage today. But of course, the pace that you sort of showed today was extremely, was very, very good. Actually, one of the fastest cars on the track, just that were outside of that 113 range. Of course, do you feel you could have gone any faster today at all, or were you sort of feeling like you were at the edge of the sort of the limit that you had?
I could go a bit faster, but because I saw which is in front of me, and I know that we are basically in even pace, more or less, then I just took my pace and kept the car. And I didn't want to get into too much trouble hitting the wall or something.
Makes perfect sense. And obviously, final question before we sort of let you go and wrap things up. We head to Alton Park in 2 weeks' time. You looking forward to that event at all?
Yeah, actually, I like this track. I've driven it with Radical recently, and it is a very fun track to drive. I don't know which combination we have, but I like this track.
be the circuit without the chicane. So it'll be running the full circuit, but no chicane. So it'll be
long straight, yeah.
it'll be flat all the way from the hairpin up until the edge of sector, which would be quite interesting.
Yeah.
But of course, an amazing race from you, Yossi. Is anyone that you would like to thank or anything you'd like to add at all before we let you go?
And to everyone, thank you. And if my brother is still hearing us, then hi, Golan.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much, Yossi. This is Yossi Goodbye. Finished 6th place today, but was more interesting strategical decisions of the race. Thank you, sir, and we hope you have a good
Thank you.
Dane. That just about sums it up, doesn't it, good sir?
Yeah, and good to hear from Yossi, of course, as always, in the number 17 machine. But that just about wraps everything up. Join us in 2 weeks' time. We have a double header at Alton Park without the chicane, so potential drafting opportunities, not too many overtaking opportunities. Double header though, 2 short sprint races. That is going to be absolutely brilliant. I cannot wait for that. I hope you join myself, Alex Skinner, and Mark Tranter once again in 2 weeks' time. Thank you everybody for watching, and we'll see you next time.